Hello, recovery family, and welcome back to another episode of the Unashamed Recovery Podcast. I am your host, Josh. Drew is taking the day off today, and we haven't really scheduled a guest for this episode, so you all are stuck with just me for this Season 4, Episode 39, Staying the Course. Today, we're going to take a look at the perseverance needed for successful recovery, because all long-term recovery journeys must include perseverance so that it can be effective and so that we can endure to the end. Perseverance is defined as persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Perseverance is essentially staying the course. Staying the course is a military phrase used in war or in a battle, meaning to pursue a goal regardless of any obstacle or criticism. And I know you're all like, Josh, this is a recovery podcast. Keyword recovery. And you're over here talking about military strategies of war. Well, recovery fam, make no mistake about it. Our daily recovery is a battle. It is a fight to keep our heads above water and not to answer the call of temptation. Today's episode, we're going to look at what the Bible has to say about perseverance as we look at several scriptures, but our main area of focus is going to come from the book of James, chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. So let's get on with it and roll that intro.
In 3, 2, 1.
The Unashamed Recovery Podcast.
The Unashamed Recovery Podcast with Josh
Starts now.
Here at the Unashamed Recovery Podcast, we believe that there is healing in the story of our scars and that it is okay to not be okay. It is our mission to break the shame and the stigma of addiction and recovery by sharing real stories of real addiction from real people in real recovery and real sobriety. And when we're not sharing those real stories, we like to bring you recovery topics straight from a biblical perspective, just like today's episode, taking a look at a familiar recovery topic and looking at it from another angle. Staying the course is relevant to all of us, no matter what path of recovery that we're on, because perseverance affects all paths of recovery. Perseverance is a quality that enables us to keep going even in difficult times. In our Christian walk, perseverance is essential to stay the course and overcome obstacles that we may face that may interrupt our daily walk with Christ. So, let's go ahead and let's dive into this. Let's start unpacking this. To start off, let's look over today's episode verse. And that's going to come from James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. And it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." In other words, when you face temptations in your sobriety, when we say no to that urge, we are building up tomorrow's sobriety. We are helping to make tomorrow a little bit easier for us to face. Saying no today strengthens our determination for another day. And that is a powerful, powerful reminder that trials and difficulties are actually opportunities for us to grow in our faith and to develop perseverance. We're actually strengthening that stay the course muscle. We can take comfort in knowing that God is using these challenges to strengthen us and to build. Our character is also building our dependence on Him. And we can also take a lesson on what to do when we are weary from Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Recovery fam, you know as much as I do that the recovery process is never ending. It is long and it is tiresome. We will eventually get to a place where the new wears off, the excitement is gone, and then the mundane takes over. The mundane starts to take its toll on us, and we will eventually grow weary in our daily recovery practices. But we must not give up. We must press on even when we're in burnout of leadership, because our perseverance will pay off at the proper time. Now, that may not be next week, next month, it may not even be next year, but at the proper time, there will be a harvest for staying the course. Now, let's stop right here and let's talk about some practical ways that we can cultivate perseverance in our recovery. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to have a clear goal or a clear vision. When we have a purpose or we have a goal in life, it gives us direction and it gives us motivation to keep on going. Without a goal, we can easily lose focus and we can give up when things get tough. Remember Proverbs 29 verse 18. Write it down, highlight it, memorize it. Where there is no vision, the people perish. We've got to get us a vision. We've got to get us a purpose. We have to know our purpose and we have to live in our purpose. We are in recovery. We have been given a second chance. If I am to continue on my path and to overcome these obstacles that are in my way, I have to have a goal, a vision, a purpose to keep me centered and keep me going straight. Or if not, at that first sign of trouble, at that first obstacle, I'm going to lose focus. I'm going to lose sight of that center line, and I'm going to begin to drift off from that path. Now, the second thing that we need to do is we need to develop a positive mindset. This means focusing on the good and the positive aspects of life rather than dwelling on just the negative. When we have a positive outlook, we are better equipped to face challenges and to keep on going. In recovery, it is so easy, so very easy for us to just have this negative mindset. And that's just from the outlook on our past experiences with the lifestyle of addiction. We have to shift into a positive mindset because the mindset that we're in changes everything that we do. Our mind is powerful, and there's power in our thoughts and in our words. We have the power to speak life or to speak death. There's a great quote that says, "If speaking kindly to plants helps them grow, imagine what speaking kindly to humans can do." And the same can be said for speaking to ourselves, because there's nobody else in this world that we speak to more every day than ourselves. Our words are powerful. our thoughts are powerful. So are your thoughts creating life and lifting you up and encouraging you forward into your journey, into your purpose? Or are your thoughts creating death, holding you back in negativity and keeping you hostage in your past? Let's recap. We've got to have a clear goal and a clear vision, and we've got to develop a positive mindset. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere, because we still have 2 more ways that we can cultivate perseverance in our recovery. The Unashamed Recovery Podcast is heard around the world in over 42 countries, including over 780 cities in all 50 states, right here in the United States. People around the world are hearing the message of the hope that is recovery from addiction. And that's because of listeners just like you who donate. But it's also because of our amazing sponsors. And we have been blessed to have local and national sponsors that have come in and helped us to take care of some cost to help spread the word. Local sponsors just like D's Automotive here in Meridian, Mississippi, serving the East Central Mississippi and West Alabama areas for over 42 years. D's is a name that you can trust when it comes to your vehicle for all your complete car care service, towing, and car unlocks. You can trust D's Automotive. That's D's Automotive. Go by and see Miss Jeannie, Mike, and the boys at 5024 Poplar Springs Drive. That's 5024 Poplar Springs Drive in Meridian. Or give them a call at 601-482-1800. One more time, that's 601-482-1800. And tell them that Josh and Drew sent you. Unashamed Recovery is also sponsored nationally by Sober Life Love, a sober dating site made for the sober and recovery community. Are you tired of the dating scene that's revolving around alcohol and drugs? Do you want to find somebody who shares your commitment to a sober lifestyle? Well, look no further than Sober Life Love. The Sober Life Love platform is specifically designed for individuals just like you who are sober and seeking a partner who shares your same values. Whether you're in recovery, whether you just prefer not to drink, or you just simply choose to live a sober lifestyle. Either way, Sober Life Love provides a safe and supportive community for you to connect with like-minded individuals. With the advanced matching algorithms of Sober Life Love, you can find compatible partners who understand your journey and respect your choices. From sober activities to meaningful conversations, Sober Life Love's dating services offers a variety of ways to connect and to build relationships. Sober Life Love is the new way to connect with people who understand and support your journey. Join today for free at SoberLifeLove.com. That's SoberLifeLove.com. Now, back to your normally scheduled programming right here on Unashamed Recovery Podcast. And the third thing that we need to do to cultivate perseverance in our recovery is to have a support system. Now, this can be friends, this can be family, this can be a community of like-minded individuals, like people that you would find in your 12-step program, people in your church. This could also be your sponsor. This could be an accountability partner, your pastor, people in your church's Bible study, prayer partners. The list goes on and on. But you're going to have a support system. These are about having people that are in your corner and people who believe in you. And when we have people in our life that encourages us, it can make all the difference when we are facing difficulties and trials in our recovery. When we know that there's people in our corner and that they're rooting for us, it makes it easier for us to reach out and to call them when we're struggling. It makes it easier for us to text them when we're having those thoughts. You know, there's a saying that goes something like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So look around at the 5 closest people that you hang out with, and that is going to determine your future. The people that we surround ourselves with greatly influence us. We have to have people in our lives that are supporting our sobriety, supporting our recovery, and that they will hold us accountable to our recovery and to our sobriety. If we're hanging out with the people that are constantly drinking and using and acting the same way that we were acting before, well, it's only just a matter of time before we're going to return to that behavior. We will not be able to endure and stay the course. We've got to get a support system, and that is how we will have long-lasting and enduring recovery. And finally, the 4th thing that we need to do is to rely on God's strength and grace to persevere. In our own strength, we may falter and we may give up. But with God's help, we can endure and overcome any obstacle that comes our way. That's why early in our recovery process, we must acknowledge our powerlessness and surrender to our higher power. And it is there in our surrender that we will find the strength to live in God's will and not your own. You know, I've got this saying that I always try to tell the newcomer. I have to wake up every day and I have to live in God's will and not my own, because it is my will that led to my seat in recovery. And living in my will is what will eventually produce a relapse. My will is going to take me down into the pit. I've got to stay in God's will, and that is where I'm going to be able to rely on His strength and His grace. God's will and God's strength and His grace is what helps us stay the course through the trials of recovery. So let's go and let's look at another example of some true perseverance in the Bible. Paul, to me, is the ultimate example. In the New Testament, he is the epitome of perseverance. No one has a better conversion story. He goes from literally killing Christians to becoming one. I mean, that's Paul. But yet after his conversion, he became so on fire for God that he faced so many trials that was meant to derail him from his Christian walk. And nobody details this better than Paul himself. So let's dive into 2 Corinthians 11:23 through 33. And let's take a look at what he says. Are they servants of Christ? I am a better one. I am talking like a madman, with far greater labors, far more imprisonments, with countless beatings, and often near death. 5 times I received at the hands of the Jews the 40 lashes. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked a night and a day. I was adrift at sea, on frequent journeys in danger from rivers, from robbers, from my own people. Danger from Gentiles, danger in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, and danger from false brothers, in toil and in hardship, through many a sleepless night, in hunger and thirst, often without food and cold and exposure. And apart from the other things, there is the daily pressure on me of my anxiety for all the churches. Who is weak? Am I not weak? Who is made to fall? And I am not indignant. If I must boast, I will boast of the things that show my weakness. The God and Father of the Lord Jesus, He who is blessed forever, knows that I am not lying. Did you catch that? Go back and hit that back button if you need to. In these verses, he lists some of the trials that he faced. From Paul's own words, he was imprisoned repeatedly, he was flogged, he was exposed to death again and again, he received 39 lashes 5 times, he was beaten with a rod 3 times, he was pelted with stones, and he was shipwrecked 3 times. And that's just to name a few of the things. I'm pretty sure the list goes on more than that. Paul embodies what it means to stay the course. That even in the face of punishment, he continued on with the mission at hand. Paul is the crucial example of perseverance that we must follow in our daily recovery. Even when things are not going how we want them to, we must continue on when our recovery is struggling. And when we cannot stay at a relapse after relapse after relapse, and we find ourselves in that downward spiraling cycle, we must continue on. There's going to be plenty of dark days and there's going to be plenty of storms in our recovery journey, but we must persevere through it all. We cannot give up. And as we wrap up today's episode, I want to encourage each of you to hold on to hope and to keep pressing forward. No matter what challenges that you may be facing, know that you are not alone. God is with you. And when we surrender our control over to God, He will give you more than enough strength to keep on persevering. He will help you stay the course. Remember 1 Corinthians 10:13, no trial has overtaken you that is not faced by others. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tried beyond what you are able to bear. But with the trial will also provide a way out so that you may be able to endure it. Just know that there will always be opportunities to give in to sin and to temptation. But when we are in Christ and when we have the Holy Spirit, there are always opportunities to have victory over temptation. And as we close out, I just want to thank each of you for tuning in to today's episode of Unashamed Recovery. We cannot do it without each of you. I hope you have found it helpful. I hope you have found it encouraging. And if you've got any kind of feedback whatsoever or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to me and Drew at unashamedpodcast@yahoo.com. unashamedpodcast@yahoo.com. Or head on over and visit our brand new website. That's unashamedrecovery.com. unashamedrecovery.com. And you can find more recovery content as well as our new sobriety and recovery themed blogs to help you take your recovery and sobriety journeys deeper to the next level. And that's also where you're going to be able to find all the links to our social media accounts. And there you even have the opportunity to be able to donate to the show to help us reach more people that are still lost in the darkness of addiction. And also, Recovery Fam, check out more amazing recovery podcasts over at the Take 12 Recovery Radio Recovery Podcast Network. And the link to that will be in the show notes, as well as under the partners page on our new website. Once again, that's the Take 12 Recovery Radio Recovery Podcast Network. And don't forget, Recovery Fam, every Sunday we are releasing brand new episodes of the Recovery Minute. And those are just short, encouraging biblical affirmations, devotions, encouragement, motivations, whatever you want to call them, to help keep you going strong in your weekly recovery journeys. And that's all for this episode. Remember to stay sober, and above all else, keep on 12th stepping as you all stay unashamed. We love y'all.